and having a look. We hope that continues. We're going to move on now to item 6 on our agenda. That's the City of Middletown address by Mayor DeStefano, And yeah, I had heard that he was coming, so I called him earlier and extended some extra time for him as opposed to the normal 4 minutes that a citizen would get at a microphone, in that he could express his views a little easier and have 10 minutes. So in light of that, if we could give your attention to the mayor, I'd appreciate it. And Mayor, good to see you. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And the next 10 minutes is all yours, uninterrupted by board members.
Well, feel free to interrupt, and
No, no,
as we can have a question and response. But it already cost me $10 to be here. But
It cost
that's
me
fine.
20. Don't
Well,
feel so bad.
I already bought 10 for you previously, but I want to thank you for the opportunity to address the board. And,
You're welcome.
And also to the board members and Dr. Eastwood for this opportunity. The reason for me coming tonight is a comment that was made at the September 2nd meeting by Dr. Eastwood. And I believe I'm quoting directly that if no shovel goes on the ground this year, there will be no new school at Chorley. The fact of the matter is that there is a strong possibility that this project will not begin construction this fall. This is because the school district has not given authorization to bid this construction project from the state of New York until July of this year. As of today, the New York State Education website still lists this project status as addendum required, multiple problems, rather than implying that the city is delaying this project, which has been done over multiple meetings. I think we should look at the project as a whole, stop the finger pointing, and move ahead with the project. The city played no role whatsoever in the delay or any delay in this project. SHPO had asked the district for information necessary to complete this permit process from the inception of this project. The district did not resolve this issue until July of 2010. The city played no part in the district's procrastination, and then as we went on, we chose not to file a lawsuit. We also chose not to file a lawsuit when the state decided to issue the building permit, which we could have, and that would have delayed the project. And we also chose not to challenge the issuance of the water permit by the Orange County Health Department. We want to see the new school built. Be that as it may, the city presumes that the reason this board and our residents voted to spend $64 million on a new school is that the district really needs a new school. The city also presumes that if our existing schools will be inadequate in 2 years, they will also be inadequate 3 years from now. So Dr. Eastwood's comment that no shovel in the ground this year will result in the district putting 950 kids into your old Chorley school basically forever and end the construction project as we know it is wrong and is a scare tactic to the public and should be clarified. The city will do whatever is necessary to help get our children into this new school. The district's failure to move fast enough to make sure that shovel went in by this fall will not stop the city from doing its share to make sure that a shovel goes in by next fall. We were jointly working towards that goal when Dr. Eastwood and I went to Albany and met with Mr. Zerbella of the State Education Department. I was optimistic when I left that meeting, and I thought from the city and the district that the city and the district would come together and pay for the study recommended by the state and Mr. Zerbella, and that based upon that study, we could agree on how much the district should chip in for the new water and sewer line, or the new sewer line, and how much state funding would be available to the district in order to pay for this. To my surprise and disappointment, Dr. Eastwood simply refused to discuss the matter any further and decided instead to advise this board and the public that a contribution by the district would be illegal and unconstitutional, and that the only choice open to this district was to sue the city. This was during negotiations. This is what Dr. Eastwood said in response to Mr. Perino's urging that the district negotiate with the city. He answered Mr. Perino's comments by claiming it was unconstitutional to pay for the off-site improvements, and he would not break the law. This was the justification for spending taxpayers' money on litigation instead of continuing negotiations and discussions and providing what the state requested, the joint study that the City of Middletown offered to pay half on and submit to the state for state funding. Now that the court papers have been filed, we have all come to learn that what Dr. Eastwood was telling you was not exactly true. Mr. Zabella's affidavit, filed by your lawyers, not the city lawyers. Mr. Zabella from the State Education Department states clearly and unequivocally that it is perfectly legal and proper for school districts to contribute to the cost of off-site capital improvements. It's done all the time. To use Mr. Zabella's words, the State Education Department approves the district, and this is a quote, approves the district's construction plans and approves the contribution as an incidental cost of the construction. That the State Education Department wants the contribution in the form of a reimbursement to the city rather than a direct payment to the contractor is fine with us. The city has no problem with laying out the money up front for the district, and we made that perfectly clear in our correspondence and discussions. From our perspective, the only issue that remains now is how much should the district contribute? What is fair? This is what we started talking about in Albany before the board decided to file a lawsuit and commence litigation. You were told that litigation was the only answer. I don't believe it is, or was. Prior to the school district filing this lawsuit, the city made several offers to settle this matter and allow me to inform the board and the public of these settlement offers. Our earlier discussions focused on the city's offer to pay for hookups from homeowners along the line. This would have split the cost of the approximately $2 million sewer line along 75% to the district and 25% to the city. After meeting with Mr. Zabella from the state ed, and based upon a subsequent phone call from him, Mr. Zabella advised me that their analysis indicated that the new school usage would be approximately 34% of that sewer main in normal conditions. I pointed out to Mr. Zabella and Dr. Eastwood that the city would not be replacing this sewer line in question at this time if not for the new school. After all, we are beginning a $3.9 million replacement program for a sewer line on the other end of town called Sterling Street to correct a problem that has been lingering for 25 years. Our water and sewer rates were recently increased by 25%, and an additional $2 million above the $3.9 million would be an unfair burden on the Middletown taxpayers. We will not allow what happened at Sterling Street to happen at Wilkins, Commonwealth, and in that general area. Bad planning, lack of foresight by the city, and the area impacted by this line. This line is not on our short-term replacement program, as indicated by our 2004 SSES study, which you all have copies of. At the same time, I do realize that there is a long-term benefit to the city, and I advise the state that the city would split the cost with the district on a 50-50 basis. Dr. Eastwood said no. Another offer was indemnification. The district has made several contradictory arguments throughout this process, and that's part of the legal process, and it's allowed during the court process. But one of them is that there's no problem with this line, that the line is fine as it is. My offer to Dr. Eastwood and President Geiger was indemnify the city against any action by the DEC, which is our concern. If the line does what the city believes it will do, by surcharging into the adjacent stream with the extra flow coming from the new school, then and only then will the district have to pay any money whatsoever towards this line. This will be for a period of 5 years commencing from contract, not from construction. No problem within this period, the school is off the hook. This offer was also rejected. Another offer was, and I believe this to be the most significant that the city had made, was the city and state getting together to fund this sewer line jointly. The majority of Mr. Zabella's affidavit that you all have possession of and is on all of our websites is probably the very first thing throughout this process that the city and the school district have agreed upon throughout this whole discussion and disagreement. We both agree that Mr. Zabella's affidavit is correct. Almost impossible in litigation. It is not unconstitutional for the school to reimburse the city for expenses. Very clear. Remember, this was Dr. Eastwood's initial argument against funding a portion of the cost for this line. The cost of this line, as indicated by Mr. Zerbella and our engineers, would be an incidental cost of the project eligible for state funding. The city has offered to pick up the local share of this project on behalf of the school district. This would result in a no cost to the school district and no cost to the residents of the Middletown School District who live and reside outside of the city of Middletown. How can anyone reasonably say no to this offer? But you did. Dr. Eastwood has also rejected that solution. $0 cost to the school district. So as we proceed in the litigation, let's both move ahead with the understanding that this new school is going to be built. Not on any timeline that if a shovel doesn't go in the ground this year, that's it, we don't need it, we're just filling up Chorley. Stop spending tens of thousands of dollars to send out these mailings that are factually incorrect, misleading, and add nothing to the potential solution. You have not seen the city of Middletown send out one piece of literature on this issue. We've responded in court, and that's the only place we've responded, and responded in our court papers. Our review is based upon what you, and our review throughout this process, what you, the school district, your professionals, submitted to the city. If you are not going to use the water and sewer as indicated in your reports from your engineers, then revise them, and we will take another look at them. The issue of Truman Moon also came up in some of the mailings. We didn't make that up, the closing of Truman Moon. Your submissions, not my submissions, your submissions to the state by your expert Claw Harbor Associates read, and I'm quoting, proposed 170,000 square foot new elementary school will combine the populations of the existing Chorley School and Truman Moon Elementary School on the site of the Chorley School. Close quote. Again, I did not make that up. It's in your submissions to the state on 2 occasions.
Excuse me,
If it's
Mr.
not
Mayor?
true, yes.
If you could conclude in 1 minute, please?
Oh, yeah, I got one more page to go. I did not make any of that up. You were authorized by the State Education Department to proceed with the bidding process in July, and you have done so. We will plan accordingly for the replacement of the sewer line. If we can agree on a solution without the courts intervening, we should. If we can't, then we should both go on our respective paths, knowing that the end result, the court decision, both sides will honor and agree to implement the decision of the court after exhausting all legal remedies if we so choose. The quickest, most reasonable, and fiscally responsible solution to this issue and to our taxpayers is to resolve this issue by uniting for a single purpose to build the school and end this conflict. Also, all legal documents are posted on our city's website, including the recent request that we made to the court to bring Mr. Zerbella down into the courts, have a hearing, and let's find out what Mr. Zerbella meant when he said this is done all over the state, it's not unconstitutional, and let's see what the formula is that other communities have done so. Mr. Perino stated a few months ago that the city needs a strong school system, and the school system needs a strong city. We agree. I don't want to be in conflict with the district, but I'm also not going to sit back and have taxpayers' money be used to send out mailings that are not accurate, because people are not getting accurate information. So that's my reason for coming here this evening.
Thank you very much.
I thank you, and
You're welcome.
if any of your constituents, whether Middletown resident or not, would like, we are setting up meetings at City Hall, smaller meetings, group meetings if they like, to explain the city's position.
Thank you.
And feel free to give my office a call, 346-4100, and we can do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Any questions?
There will be no questions at this time. It's not set up for that, but if board members would like to respond during roundtable, I'll certainly entertain that, and they can
I
go
won't be here
there.
by then. It's my wife's birthday. I think I told you that.
I'm sorry for that,
She's not
and,
very happy.
Can't
about it.
miss that.
and happy birthday, and I'm sorry you had to come out this evening. So, we're going